What's up YouTube? Silver Dragons here, and in this video I'm going to show you 5 different ways to test your American Silver Eagles and prove that they're real and legitimate and not fake. Let's do it! Thank you so much for watching my video. I sincerely appreciate it. If you're new here to my channel, definitely consider subscribing for more awesome silver related content like this video. I got a lot more videos like this coming out in the future. In this one, I'm talking about American Silver Eagles and 5 different ways to test these to make sure they are real and legitimate and not fakes. Now, these are going to be really easy ways to test, very inexpensive. I will talk about some other ways to test your eagles at the end of this video. And also, some of the things that we do are going to work on all types of silver, not just eagles. But let's get started with this. So these are the 5 easy and cheap ways to test your eagles. Now, number 1 is going to be a visual test. Now, there are actually some eagles you can rule out as fakes just by looking at them. So the first thing we're going to do with this eagle here is we're going to flip it over from top to bottom like this. And you can see when we flip it over, it's still right side up. So the eagle is facing up. We'll flip it over again. Okay, we still got the Walking Liberty design here, the obverse facing right side up, and we can flip it over again. So all modern US currency, if you flip it from top to bottom, should be right side up every single time. This is legal tender here in the United States of America, so it counts as currency. But if we flip it top to bottom, we can see it's right side up, right side up, right side up. It's always, whoops, it's always right side up. And I might drop these a couple times throughout the video. That's okay. These are just bullion in my eyes. So that's one thing to check. Now, if it's a fake eagle, if you flip it this way and it's still right side up, then it's fake. See how the eagle's upside down? When we flip it this way, it's supposed to be upside down. When we flip it this way, it's supposed to be right side up. So that's the first thing to check on your eagles. Always check that. Make sure that that is correct. The only instance when that wouldn't be correct is a rotation error. Those are very rare, and usually it's just a few degrees like this. So if you flip it over, it might not be exactly right side up. It might just be a little bit off like that. Those are fairly common. They don't happen as much anymore. So I just want to bring that up. Okay, next thing to look at for American Silver Eagles is the date, and then we're going to look at one more thing I'll show you. So you'll notice this is a 2018. They started making these in 1986. So obviously if the date was older than 86, it would be a fake. So once you look at the date, there's one more thing we got to look at. You might not be aware of this, but there was actually 2 different dies used to make American Silver Eagles. So this is an older one here. This is 1992. This was the original die, and then they updated the dies in 2008, and now they look like this. But when looking at the obverse, it's kind of hard to tell the difference. The best way to tell the difference is when you actually look at the reverse of the coins. I'm going to show you exactly where to look. So if it's from 86 to 2007, the U on the United States of America should look like that. Do you see the U there? It just goes down and up. It's very, very standard font, just down and up U. That is what it's supposed to look like on these older ones. So again, 1986 to 2007, the U is supposed to look like that. 2008 moving forward, the U is supposed to look like this. You see how it goes down and up and back down? There's that little serif added to the U. That is the font they used on the new dies. Now, the reason they switched over the dies was because if they updated them, they're able to make them last longer and then save money in minting these. So, you know, they undergo die changes every now and again for different coins. For the Eagles, that happened in 2008. So again, look at the date. If it's older than 2008, like this one is, it's a 92, it should have that U on it right there, which it does. So that means this is legitimate. If this had the little serif on it, this would be a fake eagle all day. And then this one, we look at the date, we see it's a 2008. Flip it over, look at the U. It does have the little serif on it, so that means it's legitimate, passes that test. If it did not have the little serif on that U, then this would be a fake eagle. So that's one thing to look at. Not a lot of people know about that. And there was one exception. It wasn't on the business strike eagles like this. It was actually on the West Point Mint eagles. They messed up for the first 3 days. So if you have a 2008 from West Point Mint, you would know because it would have the little W right down here under the talons kind of to the side. I guess right above fine silver, there'd be a little W right there. That's how you know if your eagle is from the West Point Mint. Those are the burnished eagles. The first 3 days, they actually used the wrong reverses. So if you have a U that looks like the old font where it just goes down and up on a 2008 burnished, it could be one of the prized errors. It's a dye variety. I think there's about 40,000 in existence. They do cost more, so definitely put that one aside and save it. But other than the 2008 burnished ones, there shouldn't be any other errors. So look at the date and then look at the U. Again, 1986 to 2007 has the just regular up and down. 2008 to present has a little serif on the U right there. Okay, so that's the visual test. So once you look at your eagles and if they all check out, then we move on to test number 2. Now this test is very easy to do. However, I will caution you on this test, you might actually damage your eagles ever so slightly. So for me, the American Silver Eagles, these are just bullion. It doesn't matter. You know, I touch them with my hands. They all have dents and little scratches and imperfections, and that's okay. It doesn't matter to me because I'm more worried about the weight and silver on these. But if it was a collectible eagle, like obviously a graded one, or perhaps one from the West Point Mint, maybe don't do this test. This test is called the ping test. So we're listening for the frequency. Now I put a glove on because for me it's easier to get a good ping out of it when I'm wearing a glove rather than just on my hand. So let's give this one quick ping here. All you do is you just take another eagle and you strike it against the side. So let's listen to it. Hear that sound? Nope, we're dropping them. That's okay, that's okay. Like I said, we might drop these a couple times, but that's fine. So that's the sound you're going for. If you get a sound that's higher pitched or lower pitched than that, it could be not legitimate. So lots of people, if you look it up, they'll say the sound is actually 6145 hertz, but I don't think that's the main sound. I think the main sound we're looking for is 3800 hertz. So I have it on my computer here. I'm going to play the hertz sound and then you can compare it to the actual ring. So obviously there's multiple tones when you ring stuff like this, but one thing I do want to mention is it doesn't necessarily matter how long it rings for. You're listening for the tone. You want to hear the pitch of the ring. And there's apps and stuff you can get to match the pitch to, or you can match it to the pitch in this video. But let me play the actual hertz and then I'll ping it and we'll listen to the similarities. So here it goes. It's a little bit annoying just listening to a sound. Turn it up a hair. So that's the sound. I've got that playing in the background. Now we'll go ahead and ping one of these. You hear it? So it's the same tone. Well, we're gonna drop them. That's okay. We'll count how many times I drop them in this video. Ooh, that was a good one. Perfect. And let's ding this one too. This is the older one from '92. Listen to the sound of this one. I think that's as good as I'm going to get. So yes, you're listening for the sound. And again, let me stop the frequency there. That's 3800 hertz was the sound I was playing. I believe that's the most dominant frequency in the ping of the eagles. So you can just Google that and pull up a video of that sound. And then you can compare it to that. So anyway, that's the ping test. Now, that's a really great way for testing the eagles. Definitely try that out. It's very, very effective. But not totally foolproof. It could sound very similar, but likely if it's a fake eagle, it'll probably sound higher pitched, but it's possibly it could sound lower pitched. So let's get to another test. Now this one here is the magnet test. Now there's two different types of magnet tests you can do on the eagles. There's one test which is testing for the diamagnetic properties in silver. So silver, if it runs down over magnets, it should go slow, not fast or stop. I don't have a magnet slide, so I'm not going to show you how to do that one, but there is another magnet test you can do, and that's just simply taking a rare earth magnet and touching it up against your silver coins. If these have any steel or iron in them, it will be attracted to the magnet. If it's pure silver, it will not be attracted to the magnet. So I have a little magnet here. I bought this one for $2.50 at my post office, and check out the scissors. See how strong that is. Super strong magnet. And so this is I believe they rate them on a number scale. This is like a 52, so it's a very, very strong magnet. Let's go ahead and touch it to the eagles here and see if they're magnetic at all. Nope, not at all. So that's good. Like I said, if these had steel or iron in them, they would be attracted to a magnet, but they're not. So they passed that test. So far everything's looking really good on these. And again, magnets are very, very cheap and inexpensive. Just make sure you get a rare earth, very powerful magnet if you want to do the magnet test. Okay, so let's get to test number 4. Now these last 2 tests we're actually going to need a scale for. So I have a scale here. And these are very inexpensive as well. You can buy these scales off of Amazon for very, very, very cheap. I think this one was like 10 or 12 bucks, so not too much at all. And it's a really good idea to have a nice scale, definitely for weighing your coins. So let's turn this on. Now, one thing I do want to mention with the scales is if you're going to weigh this in ounces, remember you're weighing silver, so you need to weigh in troy ounces. The abbreviation for that is OZT. A better way to do it is just to weigh it in grams. So I have it set to grams here. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit on the scale. And you can see the numbers there. So we're at 0.00 grams. Let's go ahead and weigh one of these. Silver should weigh 31.1 grams. So this should be right at 31.1 or just a hair over. Remember, these are 3/9 fine, so there's just a tiny little bit of copper in them, so they might weigh a little bit over. So let's weigh this first one here. Not sure if you can see that, but I got 31.28, so that's perfect. That's in the right range. If this was under 31.1, it would definitely be a fake. If it was like 32, then that's getting a little bit on the heavy side. Sometimes the older planchets might weigh a little bit more, but let's weigh this other one here. This was the 1992 Eagle. See how much this one weighs. Again, going for 31.1. 31.25. Okay, so they're both very, very similar, just a hair over, which is exactly what we're looking for. So they passed the weight test. If these were copper and silver plated, then they might fail the weight test, etc. So let's write down the weight on one of these because we're going to do one more test. Let's do it on the older one. It doesn't really matter. But so we got 31.25 grams. We're going to need to write that down for our last test. So let me get a little piece of paper, 31.25. Okay. So I got that written down. Now let's go ahead and we're going to back out the scale and we're going to do one more test. So that was the weight test. The last test is the specific gravity test. Now, specific gravity testing of silver is very easy. It's very simple. Anyone can do it. So we're going to leave it in grams here. We already have the original weight, the 31.25. Now what you want to do is place a glass or a cup of water on your scale. And you'll see the numbers jump up. There's a little button here, the tare button. We can push that, it'll just go to 0. If you don't want to do it that way, the other way to do it on your scale is just to have it off, place it already on, and then turn it off, and it will be all zeros. Okay, perfect. So we're at all zeros. Now what you need to do is actually dunk one of these in the water, but you don't want to just drop it in. You want to have some sort of a string attached to it. So I have a little string here I kind of got pre-set up. Let me get this around the eagle, and then we'll dip it in the water and see how much it weighs. And then we have to do a little bit of math problem to figure it out, but it's not super hard. So we'll take this here. Okay, now we're going to fully submerge it in the water and see how much it goes up. And again, we're weighing in grams here. Fully submerged, 3.00. Okay, so I'm bobbing it up and down a little bit, but we're right at 3.00 is the main number, I think, or maybe 2.97, somewhere in there. Okay, so I'm gonna go with 3.00. We'll go ahead and turn that off. And the specific gravity of silver should be around 10.4 to maybe 10.55, somewhere in there. So now what we have to do is take that original number, the 31.25, and divide that by 3. That was the number we got there. So let's go ahead and do that. So 31.25 divided by 3. Answer is about 10.42. Okay, so we're at 10.42 on specific gravity. So very, very easy to do. I'll repeat the steps one more time if you're confused, but it's super simple. We ended up 10.42, which that means it is, in fact, legitimate silver. This is real silver, so we know this is an actual silver coin. I'm just going to wipe it off real quick. And we also know it's a legitimate American Silver Eagle by all the other tests we perform. So real quick, one more run through on the specific gravity, and you can do this with any type of silver. You can do this with poured silver, literally anything to figure out the specific gravity. So first step again is you just go ahead and you weigh it. We're weighing in grams, 31.25. Okay, so that's our initial weight for this piece. Then you go ahead and you place your glass of water on the scale. I'm going to go ahead and hit the tare button there to bring it back to all zeros. Then you use some kind of a string and you dunk it in the water, and then we will see how much it weighs. Now, this kind of seems a little bit silly to some people because you're holding on to it, so you're like holding the weight, but we're checking for specific gravity. So obviously when this goes in the water, the level of the water will go up a little bit, and that's going to increase the weight. So we're going to go ahead and dunk it in. Just try and hold it very still as we do so. Okay, we're still getting 3.00. So then you go ahead and you take that original number that we had, the 31.25, divide that by the 3.00, and we end up coming with around 10.42 for specific gravity. So that's really awesome. That's what we're looking for. The actual specific gravity of silver is 10.49. So if you get exactly that, then awesome. You have like literally pure silver. If it's a little bit off, that's okay. Let's talk about a couple other ways to test your silver. So far we've done visual test, which is a very good way to rule out fakes. Then we did the ping test, which is really awesome way to listen to the sound of the silver. Then we did magnet, and we did weight and specific gravity. So really awesome ways to test to make sure these are legitimate. Now, what are other things you can do? One thing you can do is get some calipers and check the size. We know these are supposed to be 40.6 millimeters wide, so you can check that. If these were fakes, they might be a little bit off. Another thing you could do would be the magnet slide test, which tests for the diamagnetic properties of silver. Great way to test silver, any sort of silver rounds. Basically, what you need to buy is a magnet slide. It's just a slide that goes down like a regular slide with rare earth magnets in it, and the silver should travel slowly down the slide. I don't have one. You can buy them on eBay, usually for around, I think, $40 to $60 for the magnet slides. They are very cool. I'll probably get one sometime in the future just because they are really nice. Other ways to test your silver, you can get really, really expensive ways, like we're talking thousands of dollars, machines that will either do X-ray or they will even put sound through the silver to make sure it's legitimate silver. So there's other really expensive options. I wouldn't recommend doing those. I think with the test I show you in this video, you can definitely make sure that you have legitimate silver eagles doing those tests. And again, some of those tests work on other types of silver, not just the eagles. Obviously, the ping test only works on eagles because you're looking at the one frequency. However, the weight, specific gravity, etc., those ones you could do with other types of silver. So definitely check your American Silver Eagles to make sure they're legitimate. But if you buy them from a big online bullion dealer and you already know they're legitimate, then you don't need to test them. So that's one other thing I want to bring up is that the big bullion dealers get mint sealed packages from the mint, so they have monster boxes that are strapped and sealed, so they know they're legitimate straight from the mint, and then they sell them straight to you. So if you buy them that way, you can know you're already getting legitimate eagles and you don't actually need to test them. Or if you buy them from a reputable local dealer, you can know that they've done their due diligence. You can talk to them about how they test their different products, etc. So there are ways to go about buying eagles where you don't even need to check them. However, if you're not sure if you're buying them off the street or whatever, these are some great ways to check and make sure that they're real. So anyway, if you have any comments or anything at all you'd like to add, definitely post them down below. And I want to say a massive thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Silver Dragons out.